when I arrived at the Harvard Kennedy School, very excited. I was a, professionally trained historian and I was teaching history courses. But the thing is, at the Kennedy School, like a lot of other policy schools or schools that focus on training professionals rather than training academics or just having college undergrads, uh, people are really interested in studying for professional reasons. It's something that gives them that they needed to be uh, connected to their lives and relevant to what they're doing and to their own development and their own career ambitions and also their social professional aspirations. So it was on me to find a way to make history matter. To me, history matters because I just, inherently, I'm just fascinated by history. But I have to, I'm teaching history to people who might be interested in history, but they're thinking about how to lead, how to change their institutions, how to change the world sometimes, if they're thinking ambitiously. So I kind of took a step towards them and I kind of transformed everything that I had been interested already in history, that I had been writing about, thinking about, reading about, and drew out the leadership component. And I quickly saw that there was a pretty powerful and compelling leadership component to almost everything that I was interested in already in history. So I focused on the leadership and the leadership part. That's how it started. And it was successful. I remember just walking into the classroom and first time I taught it, I didn't know how many people were going to turn out. It was full. And I wasn't famous or anything. It was just, I think it was just hit something that people were looking for. And that's how it started. And then as I began teaching it over time, I kind of reconnected with my own roots of how I got into history in the first place. Because when we go through professional training in academia, in academic history, you start to focus a lot on, you need to focus on scholarship. You're engaging with other scholars, you're reading books, you're reviewing books, you're writing and doing research and so on. But history comes before that, before historiography. There's history, there's what happened. And what happened is so powerful and so dramatic. And if you simply tell the story of what happened, you're already making an impact. If you know how to do it, or if you even work on how to do it, you can see that it can be very effective. And it creates almost an emotional response. And when you create an emotional response with students, I think the learning becomes more intuitive and effective and memorable. And then I myself kind of responded to that too. So there was a synergy, which I found wonderful. And after a number of years of doing this over time, I saw, well, I've thought about these topics deeply, and there seems to be a lot of interest in it. And I had a conversation with some people, colleagues, and also my agent and other, and they said, well, why don't you make this into a book? Because there's a lot of people who are not going to take your class. They're not at Kennedy School or started teaching elsewhere, but, they're readers out there. And convey in the book the insights that you got from teaching this class. So that's the genesis of the book, that the Warriors, Rebels, and Saints, which I think comes really directly out of the course that I was teaching first at Harvard Kennedy School and then elsewhere. Everything that's in the book, both in terms of the examples that are in the book, of leaders or case. I don't like the word cases, but examples or specific leaders are all from my teaching. And a lot of the times the teaching these topics came directly from my own research, so the things I know well. For example, Malcolm X is a figure I've written about quite a bit. And so teaching about Malcolm X came out organically from my own work. Malcolm X is was himself kind of grew up in a world of violence, uh, racism, oppression, poverty, and without any kind of institutional position, any formal form of power, any wealth, and even without much age, having gone to finished, had an eighth grade education, been to prison. Um, by his 30s, in his 30s, he's one of the most uh, compelling and famous spokespeople in the whole world of the African American struggle. Different in many ways from other well-known leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and others that we know about too, and that I write about as well. But the ability to convey a message in such a powerful way, to develop a reputation for honesty and truth telling, even among people who disagreed with everything he was saying politically, was widely respected. You can go and look at clips of him speaking, always unfailingly respectful and polite and engaging, and willing to teach, very patient. That is just on the surface level, some of the things that I found fascinating about him, but also there's something frightening and inspirational about someone like Martin Luther King Jr. as well, who is engaged in a cause that he understands fairly soon will bring about his demise, and that he knows, and he tells people, I'm going to die, I'm going to be killed, or I'm going to meet my end because of this, what I'm telling, because of what I'm saying, which is his truth. That is actually something which I think Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were very different politically in terms of their approach, their philosophies, and how they saw the struggle of Black people in America and in the world. They had that in common, this fearlessness. And I am myself sheepish in the face of this kind of fearlessness, because I don't have that kind of fearlessness. I want to live a long life, and I value longevity. And I think most people do. And I also think that I don't want anyone in my classes or reading my book to feel that they have to be shot and killed at age 39 to make an impact. But I want people to thrive, lead long lives, and do well. But there's something about their example which is disturbing that way, because we admire them, and they're also frozen in time as these young, compelling people. And at the same time, it's a frightening thing, and also a sad thing, right? That we see them and we understand the sacrifice that they made.